Oh, all right. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. Excuse me, on this beautiful planet. Welcome to the Inner Circle Live pre-New York session. I'm your host for this morning's session, Benny Allen, along with my awesome partner, Mr. Ryan Carthage. And we're definitely happy and grateful for each and every one of you being here with us this morning as we take a look at the technicals and the fundamentals to see what we can take advantage of in this Forex market. So, without further ado, let's make sure that we turn off any and all distractions, grab a pen and paper, take lots of notes, and let's make sure that we participate and engage. You all always do an awesome job of doing that. So if everybody can hear me loud and clear, drop me some ones in the chat. Let me know that you are all ready to go. I see the good mornings. I see the ones. All right. We are all set each and every day here in the Inner Circle. We take massive action, right? Making sure that we are accepting all possible losses before entering a trade, preparing you for any outcome. We want to make sure that we center ourselves in body, mind, and spirit, ensuring a balanced approach to trading. Let's continue to trust in our education, strategy, trading skills, and intuition. And let's make sure that we imagine our trades successfully materializing, obeying our trading strategy, avoiding decisions based in greed and fear. And we want to make sure that we are never looking back or stopping once our trades have commenced. So hope everybody is ready to go. We had a lot of data come through yesterday. And then, of course, we've got some pretty important fundamentals going on today as well. Let me make sure that everybody has control over their microphone. Get everybody set up here. All right. Okay, got the crew here this morning. Okay. So let's click out of here, move over. Let's talk about some fundamentals, right? So let's start out with the dollar index. Fell towards 104 on Thursday, right? It's been bouncing back and forth, hovering close to 2-month lows as signs of weakness in the U.S. labor market, reignited hopes for 2 Federal Reserve interest rate cuts this year, with the first move expected to come in September. The ADP report showed that private businesses added fewer jobs than expected, adding to signs of a softening labor market. Meanwhile, ISM data showed the U.S. services sector activity grew the most in 9 months during May, coming in well above market expectations. Investors now look ahead to the highly anticipated monthly jobs report on Friday to gain further insights on the economy and the potential path for monetary policy. Markets also braced for an expected rate cut from the European Central Bank later today. It is its first such move since 2019. The dollar weakened across the board, with the most pronounced selling activity seen against the Aussie and the yen, right? So mixed data coming out of the U.S., and we can see that when we look at the technical charts at the DXY, kind of bouncing back and forth. So we'll see if the data on Friday can break us out of that range, right? So again, some mixed data coming out of the U.S. As they mentioned, we've been waiting on this all week, this ECB rate cut. So if you can see front page on Trading Economics, I did some homework on it, posted some notes in the community just a second ago. So if we come to the general community, you can see here that we just put some notes ahead of today's decision for you all to check out, right? So the pathway, right? So we're going to get 25 basis points. That's what's expected today. But the forward guidance from Christine Lagarde and the ECB is going to be what's important moving forward. Because, right, sticky inflation, we've got wage acceleration. And then since their last meeting in April, all of their key fundamental factors have been pretty positive, right, coming out of the ECB. So does she forecast, the potential for more rate cuts, or are they going to stick to it and say they're going to be data dependent moving forward? So I'm interested to see if we get an initial move down with the euro and then a rally. So kind of a wait and see on that, right? I would love to see it move down because I am holding 0.5% short on the euro dollar, and it's just been pretty much ranging, going back and forth. So I guess I'll find out today what's going to happen with that trade setup. We do see euro area retail sales fall more than expected. So they're kind of, you know, you go across the pond to here in the United States, they're kind of in a, maybe looking at a similar situation. I mean, the U.S. we're holding rates right now, but I wonder if it's going to be if the ECB is going to be one and done in regards to interest rate cuts based on some of the data that I'm seeing. So should be quite interesting today. We know yesterday out of Canada, we got was that the overnight rate, we got a cut, right? So coming down from 5% from 4 3/4, 25 basis points of cuts came out of Canada. Now, Canada, right, when we look at the forward guidance, they're looking at the possibility of further rate cuts this year, right? So we could see the Canadian dollar continue to weaken. So we'll definitely keep an eye on that. And then, like we say today, we've got the rate statement at 8:15 coming out, and the press conference is at 8:45. We've got United States unemployment claims today as well. So those are the main things for today. Ryan, good morning, sir. How are you?
Good morning, bro. I'm doing well, man. How about yourself?
Oh man, doing pretty good. Anything out there on the fundamental front? I know yesterday you had a super busy day, so I don't know if you were able to catch anything.
Still catching up, but a couple things. You had the average hourly earnings out of Japan were above expectations, so we're starting to see those wage increases starting to come into the data. So that
Okay.
is kind of pointing the BOJ toward what they're looking for. You're also seeing additional signals um, that lead toward cuts in bond buying for the BOJ, which is a precursor to them increasing rates.
Mm-hmm.
So that expectation is still for this month for them to cut their bond buying, setting them up for potential increase in rates, either leaning towards July is what investors are looking at, but July or August before that October cut that was originally talked about. Um, and then you have over in Israel, you have some pickup in war talks with Lebanon and another quote unquote militant group on the north side. So some stuff is starting to kick up again on that side as well. So we'll keep an eye on that from more risk off type scenarios in the coming weeks.
For sure, for sure. I appreciate it. We'll see what happens with that Bank of Japan. That's quite interesting because I was listening to the Flow show, and they were saying how they do have one. I always forget the member's name. Um, he's still kind of dovish with the Bank of Japan,
Yeah.
you know, in regards to the forward guidance on that. So we'll see.
Yeah,
We'll see if
it'll be
that.
interesting. And that is true. Um, and his take is like, let's not move too fast. We want to make sure that because their take is generally always like we want to do it in a sustainable manner, right? So we don't have to bounce back and forth or what have you. So that is also part of the still part of the conversation, just overall as well. But that member is really steadfast on that.
Yeah, cool. Appreciate the updates. I know you're always keeping an eye on that. So
Yeah,
thank you
no
very
doubt.
much for all you do, especially as it relates to the yen. So we appreciate it because we know that could be a difficult one to trade at times.
No doubt.
All right. All right. So last any questions regarding the fundamentals before I move on? No. Nope. All right. I see the nose coming through. Okay. So let's keep it moving. Looking at the DXY, right? Just continuing to bounce, right? We're coming in here to another low, right? So this is getting quite interesting at this level, right? Because we've been here before and we moved up. And we're looking like we're trying to put in another low, right? So that will be a double bottom at this level. Stochastics moving into the buy zone. So you can see here on the 1 hour, right, how we're kind of just hovering at that level, back and forth, moving. So we'll continue to keep an eye on that. Moving on, right? Let's check out, because we haven't done it in a while, off the markup that we've had going for quite some time on Bitcoin. Okay, we know tech is driving everything, right? So the Bitcoin move continues to move long, right? If it doesn't take out the A, it has no choice but to go your way. So Bitcoin is back up 71,000, down to 70,000 now. Just below 71,000. Bitcoin, so it's continuing to move its way up. At some point, we'll get to 100,000 on that. So almost got a 50% pullback there, and we are moving bullish on Bitcoin right now. So don't know if anybody's sitting in the long, but if you are, it is definitely going your way. Moving on to Joy said, I am. Okay, Joy, keep holding that. All right. So that is drops Joy some sevens in the chat. Reads 80-20 sell on the 1 hour. So Joy's playing a long-term swing. Reese is spotting 80-20s right off this long, right? You can see how we came in pretty much almost double bottom there. So let's see on this 1 hour where we're getting that 80-20. Let's see if we're off this leg. Uh-oh. Let me jump back. All right. So right up here in this zone, Reese is spotting, right? Drop those sevens in the chat. That's it. Reese and Joy are on it. Okay. So Joy's playing that longer term swing. Reese is saying, hey, it's swinging to the upside, but we may be due for a correction. All right. So decide what you want to do with that. But hey, Bitcoin is moving long. And remember, this is pegged against the dollar. The one that at least I particularly follow, that's the one that I follow, is Bitcoin versus the dollar, right? So you may be trading against something else, but this is the one that I typically follow. All right, so Bitcoin moving long. So right out the gate, we got some sevens going. People are on it. Moving on to the S&P. Now, this one is the banger, right? So I don't know if anybody played it long off of the markup that we had off this 4, right? So let me take my candle overlay out here. Clear that. And this has been a runner, right? So we were looking at the daily. We know we were sitting at that high price, and we were talking about past resistance becoming future support, right? Because we didn't know. We said, hey, it had to be something catastrophic to get it to pull all the way back, right? So we got a good reaction. We settled. Look at the break and the retest. And then we were coming into this level, and we were trying to see if it was going to hold, right? If we were going to hold here. And we did, right? And so on this 4 hour, right, it is running long on the S&P. That gave you everything, right? 61.8, you've got daily support. You've got a huge bullish engulfing candle that came through and broke trend line, and we've been running long ever since, right? So, yeah, that one's moving pretty good. So we're above that 53, 52 level, that daily level. And so we are still looking long on this S&P. It just continues to set records, right? So here is the 1 hour. There's that move right there. On off the low. So you can see, right, how the fibs beautifully play out. We got a 786 pullback. We've got a 1.27 extension that was hit Fib is no longer highlighted. So you have a clean ABCD move on the 1 for the S&P. Any questions on the S&P 500?
Nope.
No? All right. So this thing is continuing to run up and up and up and up and up. And yeah, we just trade what we see. Looking at the US 30. Okay. All right. So it's just continuing to put in lows and a rally, right? So again here, okay, here's our breakout level. It came back to retest that level, and it's just continuing to run, right? So this is from a while ago. It's just continuing to move, right? So it's still in that zone, but it's just putting in lows. It's just putting in lows and rallying again, right? So fundamentally, like nothing, right? That's has us moving to the downside. Now we've got some non-farm payroll data coming up here on Friday, but right now you can see a bullish candlestick similar, right, to the US to the S&P, right? And here's the swing that's occurring. So I've got the cloud on this to see if we actually break this cloud, but you can see how it came down, right? Almost identical, 786 pullback, and now we're moving to the upside after we got a nice bullish candle. So just like the S&P, huge bullish engulfing, we got to pull back to test it, and now it's just moving up. Things are kind of moving sideways. We got ECB data coming out. And then, like I said, we've got non-farm tomorrow, which can create the market to push sideways up until we get those numbers. Okay, we got unemployment claims coming out for the US as well, right? So, but right now, deep pullback, right? 80-20, pulled back, key fib levels, and we're showing, right, the signs of a reversal. So we'll continue to watch that. All right. All right. Any questions on the US 30?
No, sir.
No?
Nope.
All right. Moving on down, we'll take a look at the NASDAQ. All right. Just pushing long. Okay. Pushing long. Beautiful ABCD move on a daily. Look at that. We've got a 382. The market is just moving top side. All right. So here, called that one right on the money. Right? Past resistance becoming future support. Right? 80-20 on the way down, came right into the zone. Right into the zone. And we reversed out. All right. On the net, 80-20 on the 5-minute, that's on the NAS. Right? Want to make sure I'm clear on that.
Yes.
Okay. So let's take it on down to the 5. Boom, drop some sevens in the chat. Moving sideways too. Isn't it amazing how it gets to that level? And oftentimes it just starts to push sideways, right? We know that's a key level. Good job. Appreciate it. Thank you so much. All right. So let's see if we can get a move down. It's trying to figure itself out. Okay, keep in mind we've got unemployment data coming out. We've got ECP data coming out. As we get that pushed down, and then maybe we can get a continuation up off the 5-minute. Any questions on that?
I have a question.
Sure.
as you're going through the indices, do the indices, the S&P, the Nasdaq, and the Dow, do they tend to follow each other trend wise?
Based on using the fibs and how we set things up, oftentimes they do.
Okay.
You know, oftentimes they do, right? But you know, you have your variations a lot of times where you may not have, say you're trading to the upside, you've got an up AB boundary. Sometimes the corrections may not be as deep on one, you know, when compared to the others. But oftentimes they do, you know, and then sometimes it could depend on, you know, what sector is driving the price action at any given point in time. But oftentimes you do see that correlation, which, you know, sometimes it's hard. I think the way we frame it out really benefits us to see that major similarity, you know. Whereas if you're just a support and resistance trader, they may not, you know, align like they do when compared to using the fib sequence. You know,
Okay,
so
great. That makes sense. Thank you.
you're welcome. All right. Any other questions on that?
No, sir.
All right. I haven't looked at the German 30 and the Nikkei in a while. I don't even know. So still moving bullish for the most part. So this one broke trend line a long time ago. So slowly, gradually moving to the upside too, with the German 30. So overall positive. On a lot of these. So we have that one. So I see what happened. That was a deeper correction there. All right, but then we continue long. Just need to run that. So that's moving. Let's continue to move up after the correction. So that's the German 30 there on the 4. Let me look at so this one is still kind of just bouncing around for the most part. All right, this is a 80-20 from a long time ago. That one's kind of just taking its time on that one. So I hadn't looked at those in a while to track them. So all right, so we have the ECB decision today. So let's check in and take a look at some of these euro pairs ahead of the data. And we can see here that this Euro Aussie, right? It's just choppy. Right? Kind of moving side to side, sideways there. Okay. So this one has been pretty tough, right? Over the last weeks and days, right? Which is the sideways kind of in that range. You're welcome in that range. So moving on down, let's zoom out to see the overall where we are. Okay. Right, so we know how to upfib running on this. So we'll see today, right, what happens. This has pretty much just been ranging, right? We see that from the higher time frames. So I've got this area marked out here. Okay? And so let's see what happens with the data from the ECB, right? To see if we can get a breakout of this tighter range here. So this is a wait and see. I wonder if we're gonna, like I say, that forward guy is at 845 from Lagarde is gonna be key. Market's already priced in 25 basis points in regards to the cut that's coming, getting things down to 3.75 or whatever. So we'll see. So this one is a wait and see. It's ranging. We need some sort of a breakout. Any questions on the Euro Aussie?
No, sir.
No.
Yeah. Okay. Last I took, believe the 1 hour cloud broke to the upside. Let's see what we have on the one, the cloud. Yeah, it's starting to build this way, but everything is kind of just moving through the middle, right? Just confirming that consolidation, right? You got a 250 just moving sideways straight through the price action, right? Our clouds are kind of flat, a lot of back and forth. So we just need to wait. We just need to wait, right? It keeps breaking through, coming back down through the cloud, right? So nothing trending right now. So all of that gives us confirmation of that range. So, all right, EuroCAD. Let's take a look at it. Okay. So we know we got the CAD data yesterday. Looking long, right? Still, okay, because the euro has been on the move to the upside for the most part. We know we got a weak Canadian dollar, so right, we expect to be long. It's just a matter of if we get an entry. Right, if we get an entry, right? This hasn't been pretty. It just hasn't been the most clean price action, right? So you zoom in just on the latest, right? Price action move, and it's been to the upside, right? You can see we've settled in, put a low, and then we're just grinding to the upside. Daily stochastic is in the buy zone. We come down here to the 4 where we had an 80-20 that reacted, strong bearish candle, and then it took it all back, right? So this trade has just gotten whipsawed, but overall bullish. Was hoping for a deeper correction, but you can see look how we spiked up and hit that extension. So pretty wild move there. So we just need to wait. In regards to the 4 hour, we just need to wait for a new AB boundary and a new setup. Let me see what we have here. On the 1, we already have the new AB boundary, right? So any type of pullbacks, we want to see a continuation to the upside. Again, can't say it enough. We've got key data coming out of the ECB this morning. So it'll be interesting to see how the market reacts. I don't know if we're going to get a drive down and then a rally after she speaks. So we need to just kind of wait and see. Any questions on the EuroCAD?
No, sir.
All right. Euro Swissy, right? So we haven't put a lot of setups out there. We know we had a lot of data this week. Anytime you have like multiple rate decisions coming from central banks in a week, it kind of can get the market moving sideways in anticipation. Not only do we have two major central bank decisions, you've got non-farm payroll, you had private sector ADP yesterday for the US. Then you got non-farm payroll on Friday. So just want to be patient, right? Those are the lessons that I've learned, right? Too many times I've gotten caught in the market trying to enter new trades at this point in time, and I've gotten whipsawed, so just giving money back to the market. So really just trying to work on staying disciplined, right? And waiting, let the market react to the data that's coming out this week, and then seeing if the result of the data pushes the price action into our sweet spots. Like this one here, this one is going to be interesting. So this was the 4 hour. This was the miss for me, right? So this is the recent one that I got stopped out on, right? So I lost on that one. That one pushed deeper, okay? So we got a good reaction to the upside because it's some fundamental data. Then it just collapsed. But the story is the Swiss franc is pretty strong. It's pretty strong right now. So we know that it actually started to make a turn when we got that data right out of the SMB, and Chairman Jordan speaking and saying that, hey, you know, they may have to step in and intervene, right, which will strengthen the currency. And also, you know, coming off the fact that they were, yeah, I got hit on that one, okay, right? It's all good. That while we were looking, they were first out the gate for rate cuts. And then everybody's expecting forward, you know, more cuts going forward for the S&B, but then all of that started to change a little bit, right? The tone and the rhetoric started to change, right? That's why words are important, right? If you listen, now the S&B isn't as transparent as a lot of the other central banks, you know, but when he spoke, he talked about, you know, the possible intervening and things like that, you know, it's been, the strength has kicked in ever since, right? Because we're not in the risk-off scenario. We just saw the S&P, you know, and indices continuing to rally. So I believe it's coming from that. I'll look at further data. But we were talking about on this 4 hour, while we were looking at this 4 hour, that, hey, if you get stopped out, we get stopped out. It gave us a signal. But we also knew that on the daily, right, that we could be pushing to that 61.8. And we could see here where we're getting that pause. Right. So when we talk about higher time frames control the lower time frames, we know that deeper corrections can cause stop outs on the lower time frames. Right. So keep in mind ahead of the ECB data that we have pushed to a 61.8 zone up against daily and weekly support for this Euro Swissy pair, and our stochastic is in the buy zone. And depending on the data today, we may be putting in a low. Okay. So we may have lost a battle on that one, Kay, but we might not lose the war in regards to direction, overall direction in the long term. So keep that one on your radar, everybody, when we listen to the readout from the ECB and President Lagarde today. Any questions on that?
No, sir.
No.
All right. Sometimes it's just a timing thing, just a timing thing. So, all right, moving forward, the Euro GBP. Let's see what we have. All right. Just a bunch of choppiness, right? Still settled around this zone. It's holding there though. Okay, that's important to know ahead of the data that we're holding at this 84.98 level. Okay, hasn't really gone anywhere. All right, hasn't really gone anywhere. These are no good. All right, it's just been choppy. Let's look at horizontal support and resistance right now. So we'll see with the data. Do we move up, start those ABCD waves? You know, maybe it starts a trend, you know, or maybe we break through that monthly level at 84.91 and continue to the downside. Everything is going to depend on the data. Any questions on the Euro GBP?
No, sir.
No.
All right. Euro JPY. So we've been long for the most part. We'll take this one straight down to the 4. Let's zoom out, see what we have. Okay. So still within that AB boundary, still long. Okay. Still overall long, right? We put in another low here on the 4 hour. Let's see what happens today. Okay, so here we are on the 1. Okay. Here we are on the 1. And just that move long. So I was kind of tracking that sub-fib to see where we were above the cloud. All right. So still long. Let's see what happens. Let me clean this up. There we go. Okay. So still moving along on the euro yen. Questions?
Nope.
No, sir.
Nope. All righty. Euro NZD. Right. Continuing to move to the downside. So when you look at your pairs, right? Two currencies that have been super strong as of late, Swissy and New Zealand dollar. Okay. So if you come over and you look at your investing.com and you look at the technical summaries, okay, you can see if you go through and you customize, and we do something like we just look at the basket, right? So we'll look at the Aussie NZD, Euro NZD, P, NZD, NZD CAD, NZD CHF, NZD USD, right? So you can see across the board, like look at your Aussie, look at your Euro, look at your pound, and then look here, right? Buy there. Okay, we said the two strong currencies are the NZD and the Swissy. So you can see the change there. Look at your NZD JPY, your NZD USD, right? To the long side. Okay. So we know what the strong currencies are. Okay. When we talk about the currency strength, right? Or you can check out like a currency strength meter or something like that. But that's how I tend to take a look at it with these swing trades. So this is moving to the downside. We'll see if there's any changes in that today. All right. So this has been short. You've had an ABCD wave to the downside that has played out. There we hit a D extension, right? Just ahead of the data. We take a look at the one. So overall, right, bearish. We do have price that tapped into this 118 zone. Okay. We got support right at that 127. So we'll see, right? If it rallies, right, we could break through that trend line and continue long. But recently, because of the New Zealand dollar strength, it's been short. Okay, it's been short. Any questions on the Euro NZD?
No, sir.
Nope.
All right, all right. So moving on, the Euro USD. All right. So coming in, taking a look at the daily here. All right. It's just been range bound. It's just been range bound. Okay. So based on the data that comes out, it could go either way. I just need to know. This this is what drives me crazy, right? When it comes to my patients, but I just need to know which way it's going to go. Is it going to go my way, or is it going to push up and I'm going to get stopped out on the reaction? But just tell me something at this point. But it's been ranging, so I have a trade that's just floating, right? Trade is just floating. So we will see what happens with that. So that right now is neutral, moving sideways. Any questions on the Euro USD?
Nope.
No. All right. So I wanted to check in on this Aussie Swissy because I'm actually looking. I would like to see that continue to move to the downside for a deeper correction, and it is turning over, right? So overall, right, because we know that the Aussie put in a rally. Okay, stock market's doing good. But right, the question is, do we push lower and create a new low, or is this going to settle, right? So you can see the momentum. We're definitely oversold now on this latest correction. So do we close out today and this becomes the new low and we get new daily support there, right? Or do we push, right, lower? You can see we're turning over right now on the 4. So this 80-20 play that we drew up is at TP1, right? So it's just a matter if it pushes lower. I would like to see, let me just candle overlay on. Okay. So if it pushes lower, right, then it will take out that low. All right, so we'll have a new daily low established. So this one's going to be interesting, but I would love to see this move lower before getting back long, if that's what it wants to do. Right, I would really like to see that hit the buy zone, and then try to take advantage of that play. But for right now, that 80-20 is moving pretty good. Right, so in other words, we would like to see a target 2 hit on that and a good low price established, and then maybe a U-turn, right, to occur. So we'll watch that. We'll continue to let this one play out, right, to the downside. So we're still trending down. Any questions on the Aussie Swissy?
No, sir.
Nope. All right. We have some time left. I wanted to make sure that we got through those euros and those indices today, since the stock market's been putting in a pretty good rally, mainly led by tech. Any pairs that we want to take a look at in the time that we have remaining? Gold.
I put in the
Okay.
chat, Benny, that USD Sheffy had a 80-20 on the 1
Oh,
hour.
he did? Okay. Okay. So GJ, USD Swissy on the 1. So we'll check that out real quick, and then we'll go into these other ones. So continue to be patient. Like for those of you who are participating in the Darwin, right? You see, okay, you're playing with a legitimate 100,000. I know, Reese, you're more than that, right? Because I think Reese, your trade is a futures, Reese, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, he trading futures and they get $1 million.
$1 million, right? So you can see with these setups that we have, right? For you to hit like a 1% or 2% in a month, depending on your risk, you may only need one setup. Does that make sense to everybody? Yes, no? Right?
Yes,
You
sir.
may only, yeah. So you can sit back. You can sit back and be patient. Like don't be like me and start itching for trades. Like I sit on your hands and go flat, even for a month, right? So I was like 5.8% in April, and then I came in May, right, and gave something back. I think maybe 2%, 2 point something. I can't remember what it is, but I gave some back when in reality I should have just sat flat. Should have just sat flat. There was no need, right, for some of the setups that I was in. So you have to be willing to sit on your hands, and if you have to go flat for the month, go flat. If your setups aren't there, they're not there, you know. But don't unnecessarily, give money back to the market. Okay. here we are on the dollar Swissy, this 80-20 on the 1, right? So I've been taking a look at this one too, right? We probably need to put this one, we need to put this one in the community. But we're sitting in this zone, right? Sitting in your 80-20 zone. So do we get a correction, right? Back to the upside, right? So I'm on the same page with you there, right? With this 80-20 play. So I wonder, right, if we can get some momentum in the dollar. We got unemployment claims coming through. What's going to be the catalyst, right? That dollar's been a little tough, a lot of back and forth. But technically, yes, we are in the 80-20 zone. All right. So do we get to move back to the upside? All right. It'd be a nice one. All right. Just be patient, right? If you're in it, you've got your risk figured out. No fear. No fear. Let it run. See if you can get that pullback. Okay. If you're bearish on dollars, right, then maybe you're waiting on that high price. Appreciate you spotting that out. Right. Some 7s in the chat. We love it. Teamwork makes the dream work, everybody. That's what the group is all about. So that's the dollar Swissy. Any questions on that? Okay. So let's go take a look at gold. Right. So here we are, right? From the weekly, new AB boundary. Okay. New AB boundary. We had the extension hit. It's going to keep it moving. Okay. So let's work our way down through the charts. See what we've got. Okay. Kind of just bouncing around. I thought I had a fib on my daily chart. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Just trying to make his mind up. All right. Stochastics in the buy zone. And we are, let me see. Yep. I know these wicks were kind of close, so we do have a support here. But you can see how that's just been pretty much moving sideways, right? It's not trending to the upside or to the downside. It's just been moving sideways. And maybe we're due for a breakout. Let's see what the unemployment claims bring us. See what happens with the ECB. But we're above that 2351 level. We closed above it, right? But some back and forth right now. Okay, some back and forth. So if we come down to the 4, let's see where we left off here. Okay. Okay. So still right projected to the upside. Okay. I was trying to see, hey, can we get a double bottom here at this level? Right. The verdict's still out on that. But overall, still bullish. We've been pretty bullish on gold all year, right? Just needs to make his mind up. We've got some indecision right now as to whether or not it wants to push lower or just take off from where it's at now and remain bullish. All right. Any questions on gold?
Yeah, Benny, please, can we take a look at the lower time frame?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, for sure. So here was right. So we were thinking at one point, right? One of our team members, right? Possible this crown type of price action here, right? So I kind of moved that out of the way, but it was originally here, and we did get to, right, that potential right tip. So the verdict's still out on this one, right? So who was Ryan, do you remember who was that put that in the chat in the group? This potential crown.
I don't remember.
It's been a minute. But I remember going over it. Right. So she had it drawn up as a potential crown. And right now, right, you're right at that right tip. So it's just a matter though of, are we going to stay above 2351? We stay above 2351, right? Then that right tip gets blown out, right? So but right now, as far as that projection, right? In the short term, that was pretty good. That was pretty good. All right, so we'll see how this plays out. So that's your 1 hour there, right? So what I did was just pull the higher time frame fib down to the 1 because it's been pretty choppy back and forth. Okay, so that's that. Now, as we move down to the lower time frames, how low we want to go? 15 minute, 5? What do we go?
By 15, I see gold in the sell zone, and then on 5, it's in the buy zone.
Mm-hmm. Right. So you're looking at this on the 15?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So what I can tell you now is that it could go either way. It could go, this one could go either way. All right. So what's your overall, but you trade the lower time frame charts on a regular?
Sometimes, but I have to make sure that they are all in alignment. But this is a bit confusing because you see the 5 minutes. So I'm wondering if it's gonna come back to test the resistance, the past resistance, before it moves up a little bit and then comes down again. I'm just a bit confused right now.
Yes, I would agree. And when you see this price action moving across the middle of your screen, the market is agreeing with you that it's confused right now. So our saying here in this group is, when in doubt, stay out.
Just leave it alone.
Just leave it alone. It'll eventually tell you which way it wants to go. Right? Gold is like that, right? It settles down and it accumulates and then it just explodes. Right? Based on it's really fundamentally driven. Right? So this is your daily here. And Joy's playing support and resistance. Yep, you could do that. Right? Oftentimes that's cool to do with gold. Right? Play the levels. Because once it gets going in the direction, it really gets going, right? So you could play just a support and resistance game, right? Here. So what I'm going to do is this, right? Especially when it's moving sideways, right? You might just want to go and use horizontal levels, right? Like, hey, I'm going to take the fibs off and just play the levels horizontally, right? That's all I want. Some people just trade like that, period. So what I'm going to do here is move this and start adjusting these a bit. Like so. Okay, so we look pretty clean there. And I'm doing this because what I'm going to do is let's just clear this. And then we will put in a 5-minute chart. So, and then what I'm going to do is I am just going to take this out and let me see what we have. Okay, so that's your last resistance level there. And we will just move these levels down to the 15 and the 5. Like so. There. So that's what we look like. Now, these are daily levels. right? If we had some weekly ones, we would have had them in. You may, depending on how low you go, you may use 4-hour levels, right? Or you may just stick with the daily. It just depends on how many levels you want on your charts. And so like we could come into the 4. And so it doesn't matter anyway, pretty much at this point. It's with these 4-hour levels. So we'll stick with the daily. And so you can see, right, like what Joy is talking about. So we're above this level here. Do we retest and hold, right? So if we hold this level, okay, we may see a continuation up to a higher price. Get what I'm saying? So we just clean it up, right? So that's what Joy was talking about. Like when it gets choppy, right? We say, okay, let's clean it up, clear it out, and we're just gonna look from level to level. And then when we see that market trending, and then we'll go from there, right? So here, so there's your low there, right? But you don't have to do that. See? You can just leave it just like this, and that'll give you a clear picture when the market is kind of choppy, right? So we see here on our 15, we've put in a high, right? A major high like this. So we could do it like that. Okay. So do we get back down, right? Which would be ideal to retest 2351, or with the data that comes out, okay, do we get, right, one of these moves here and we form a new low and a continuation, right? Has resistance becoming future support. We are going to find out. So you always hear us talk about in this group, like we use the fibs because it helps to give us like a future projection for swings, right? I got a 61.8 pullback, I expect a 1.618D extension. So if I'm swing trading, right, that gives me a future projection. But we always say the nuts and bolts of trading, which is why we start out with that in our training, right? If you go through the training, we start with support and resistance, how to draw that, because it's still a support and resistance game. Has to be. The market makes higher highs and higher lows, and as a result, those are swing lows or swing highs that form. So the market is constantly creating new levels of support and resistance, right? So there we are right now. So do we push below that and retest, right? Past resistance becoming future support, maybe, right? But the market is going to tell us. So like we say, when in doubt, stay out. Let's see what that next move is going to be. Okay. So we could take this level down to the 5-minute. You could take it down to the 1-minute if you wanted to. Right? If it moves to, say, that 4-hour, think about it. If it moves to a 4-hour D extension, right? If it says, okay, I'm going to take off from here and I'm going to go. It has to make higher highs and higher lows. It has to break through, existing levels of support and resistance, and it's going to create new levels of support and resistance. So that's why we say, like, once you understand, right, how price action moves, it doesn't matter what time frame you're trading on. That's just a matter of preference, really. But it's all the same. Right? It's all the same. So there's your 5-minute chart. Oh, that's a wicked double bottom. Okay. I'm trading 5-minute charts. That's textbook right there. That's a buy. See how clean that is? Think about that. The longer, you trade, the cleaner your charts are going to become. Okay. The longer, you trade, the cleaner your charts are going to become. Okay. The longer, you trade, the cleaner your charts are going to become. Okay. The longer, you trade, the cleaner your charts are going to become. Okay. The longer, you trade, the cleaner your charts are going to become. Okay. The longer, you trade, the cleaner your charts are going to become. Okay. The longer, you trade, the cleaner your charts are going to become. Okay. The longer, you trade, the cleaner your charts are going to become. Okay. The longer, you trade, the cleaner your charts are going to become. Okay. The longer, you trade, the cleaner your charts are going to become. Okay. The longer, you trade, the cleaner your charts are going to become. Okay. The longer, you trade, the cleaner your charts are going to become. Okay. The longer, you trade, the cleaner your charts are going to become. Okay. The longer, you trade, the cleaner your charts are going to become. Okay. The longer, you trade, the cleaner your charts are going to become. Okay. The longer, you trade, the cleaner your charts are going to become. Okay. The Why? Because you get more experience and your eyes become well trained over time. That's why we say put your time in on the charts. Okay. It's very important. Okay. And your eyes become your own best indicator. They operate in real time. So you no longer need a lot of those things. Okay. So in the 5 minute, I can run the fib off that double bottom right there. And it's just telling me a future projection, that's all. Okay. So the question is, are we going to hold in this level? Or in this zone, should I say? Okay. Or do we push lower and get that retest? See? Like we always say, the fibs just dress up the price action, right? It's just a shiny thing on top of the price action. The price action, still price action. Doesn't matter. Okay? It doesn't matter if I put on, you know, 50 and a 200 simple moving average. Doesn't matter. Okay? It doesn't matter if I want to put a cloud on. Right? That's just additional confirmation. Right? Okay. So we know if it holds here and it pushes up through that cloud and we get a signal, right? Then it's, hey, we could be continuing long. So you always start with support and resistance and getting an understanding of that. Right? And you may discover as a trader that that's all I want to use. Maybe I put my fib on and say, okay, ultimately, right, based on this fib, this could be my target. But just visually for me and my psychology, I can't have this on here. Right? I need to just go level to level. Right? I need to just go level to level. The issue is with a lot of traders is that they quit before they ever discover what works. The only way you fail is if you quit. Questions on gold?
No, sir.
No. All right, Jeremy, I see you. Appreciate you stopping through. All right. I did real
Lenny?
quick. Yes. Go ahead.
No, I said thank you for the breakdown.
Oh, you're welcome. You're welcome. Anytime. Appreciate you for bringing that pair up. It's always an interesting pair. A lot of people love trading gold. Gold, right? And if you follow the internet, right, and YouTube, gold and GJ, right? So we'll finish up on this one. So overall bullish, right? We're looking like we're headed towards this key level here, that extension. Okay. And right. Took all of that move back. We are long, right? So we're headed towards a daily extension before we get to that weekly extension. So if we get above that level there, right? That's a nice round number, that 200, but we're headed towards that extension. Okay. The 4. Right, been a lot of back and forth. I know we're gonna see a correction, but it's holding at that level pretty good. But we may not. Right. It'll be interesting to see if we get any type of good movement today off of the data that's coming out here shortly. But that's where we are. It's kind of just stalling at that 200 level, that daily level. So it's really like it put in another 4-hour low, right? But that's a lower low, right? So this is becoming lower high and continue to push down, or we're just gonna stay bullish. I'm leaning towards the, staying bullish against the yens. I mean, we just haven't gotten the correction. But anytime you get interventions, it could just throw things out of whack, right? So that natural order of things, that natural flow, right? The harmonic movement, right? That rhythm gets disrupted, right? When you have, right, major institutions like a central bank step in, right? It kind of leads to disharmony for a little while, right? You need things to clear up. So intervention, market pushed it right back up. And so it's trying to figure itself out. But overall, I would say we're still bullish. It's just moving sideways. It's just moving sideways. Right. So here, so this, I mean, look how long we've been on this one, everybody. Like, it's just, now we're just at a point, right, where it needs to finish itself out on this latest run to the upside. Okay. So you see a weekly extension, you got a daily extension coming into play. You got this 8-6 pullback on this one, which means that's a 118 extension, right? So still favoring it bullish. It just can kind of make it kind of difficult when you get a good trend like this and now it's moving sideways. If you're holding that trade long, you just have to wait. And wait and be patient. But so far, I mean, this is moved, right, at its high point over 900 pips. So I'm telling you, this group is going to be amazing once we all develop the patience, right? I know some of us have it already, right? All develop the patience and the confidence in our trade ideas, right? And not worry about the losses, knowing that over time our edge is going to play out. That's the key. That's the key. And then during those times where the market is just not giving you anything, realizing that it's just that it's not giving us anything. Right? It's amazing. It's awesome. I love trading. I love it. Absolutely love it. It's something that I'll always do and I'll teach my kids to do. All right. So it's a generational thing. Ryan, anything before we close out?
No, sir. Great session, bro.
All right. Donna says she's gotten better. Yeah. Thank you for believing. Yeah, I believe in all of you, right? We all can do this. So everybody, I know we ran over time a little bit. Won't hold you any longer. I appreciate you all hanging in. Have a great day. Ann says she's a work in progress, and we are all works in progress. Great way to end the session. Have a good day, everybody. See you tomorrow, 6:30
you.
a.m.
You
Eastern
too.
Standard Time. You're welcome.
Thank you.
Bye for now.
Nice one.